Okay, now we're in the chapter on notation, and I'll do some things with manipulatives, and then I'll go inside and show you some things with the piano keyboard. So a musical staff, where notes are written, is created out of 5 lines and 4 spaces. It wasn't always that way, but it's become common now for there to be 5 lines and 4 spaces. And the lines, if it was the treble staff, the lines would be E, G, B, D, F. And if it was the bass staff, the lines would be G, B, D, F, A. So they're not the same. You have to learn each staff separately. So this is just a staff. It doesn't really tell you much of anything except for the relative notation. When you put a clef sign, and there are several clef signs, but the most common ones are the treble clef sign and the bass clef sign. So if you put the treble clef sign on here, then we would call this the treble staff. And we would be able to name these pitches. This tells you the treble clef curls around the line that is G. So this tells you that this line is G. If this line is G, the next note, which is a space note, line notes and space notes. So you can put a note on a line or in a space. Line space, line space, line space, line space, line space, line space, and so forth. So the line note is G, the space note above it is A, and the space note below it is F. And then this is E, and this is D, and this is C. So the notes of the treble staff would be C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Knowing that isn't going to help you too much, not to be really fast. So I'm going to take away some of these notes, and we're going to try learning these in thirds or skips. So C up a skip, you skip D, C up a skip is E up a skip is G up a skip is B up a skip is D, and D up a skip is F. So the thirds gives you the names of the lines. C, E, G, B, D, F, or F, D, B, G, E, C. So it does help for our purposes to know the names of the lines and spaces, because this is theory. When you're reading music, it helps more to be reading by intervals. So the spaces are D, F, A, C, E, G, or some people like to learn face, F-A-C-E, and then a third below F is D, and a third above E is G. So that takes care of the interval of thirds. Seconds are from a line to the very next space, and thirds are a line to a line or a space to a space. Then we have fourths. C up a fourth is F. F up a fourth is B. B up a fourth is E. E up a fourth would be A. So you skip a line and a space. We can start them from someplace else. D up a fourth is G. G is a whatever it is. D up a fourth is G. G up a fourth is C. C up a fourth is F. And I'll just take all these off now. The color thing isn't going to work anymore because I'm all confused. E up a fourth, E is A. A up a fourth is D. D up a fourth, 1, 2, 3, 4. And you count the notes. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. F up a fourth, 1, 2, 3, 4 is B. B up a fourth, B, C, D, E. Okay. G up a fourth would be C. C up a fourth is F. G, A, B, C, C, D, E, F. Then there's fifths. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. C to G is a fifth. G to D is a fifth. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. D to A is a fifth. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. A to E is a fifth. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Seconds and fourths Seconds and fourths are line to space, or space to line to space, or space to line. Sixths are like seconds and fourths, line space or space line. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. C up a sixth is A. D up a sixth is B. E up a sixth is C. F up a sixth is D. G up a sixth is E, and so forth and so on. Then you have a seventh, which is one less than an octave. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Thirds and fifths and sevenths are line, line, or space, space. Line, line, or space, space. That is not a major seventh, though. So, and an octave is the same pitch, C to C. So a seventh I like to just think is one before that. C to C minus 1 is B. D to D minus 1 is C. That happens to be a minor seventh. E to E minus 1 is D. That's also a minor seventh. F to F minus 1 is E. That is a major seventh. G to G minus 1 is F. That's a minor seventh. And then octaves. Okay, another way to look at it would be using this musical staff, which is hopefully showing up. So the lines are C, E, G, B, D, F, A, and here they are on the keyboard, C, E, G, B, D, F, A, C. A whole step, which this is a Canadian invention. Piano teacher in Canada created this. So they're called whole tones in the British system. But a whole step or a whole tone is two half steps put together. So C also, I'll teach you this right now. C up a half step to the black key is C sharp, D to D sharp, E to E sharp, which is the same thing as F. That's enharmonic. The word is enharmonic. F to F sharp, G to G sharp, A to A sharp, B to B sharp, which is enharmonic with C. Going backwards is flats. C to C flat is enharmonic with B. B down a half step is B flat, which is enharmonic with A sharp. A down a half step is A flat, which is enharmonic with G sharp. G down a half step is G flat, which is enharmonic with F sharp. F down a half step is E flat, which is enharmonic with F flat is enharmonic with E. I don't know what I just said. F down a half step is F flat, which is enharmonic with E. E down a half step is E flat, which is enharmonic with D sharp. D down a half step is D flat, which is enharmonic with C sharp, and then you have C. So there are two places on the keyboard or in music where what looks like two white keys together on the piano is a half step. From B to C is a half step because there's no key in between. And from E to F is half step because there's no black key in between. All of the other white to white keys are whole steps. So C to D is a whole step, D to E is a whole step, F to G is a whole step, G to A is a whole step, and A to B is a whole step. B to C is a half step, and E to F is a half step. And this becomes important later when we're creating scales. So then the spaces in the treble clef are B, D, B, D, F, A, C. B, which is a step below middle C, D, F, A, C, E, G. Then if we were to do the bass, we could start with, let's see, I have a double ledger line here. So there's space C, E, G, B, D, F, A, and middle C is around here someplace. We're kind of short on C's. And then the spaces, there is a low B here, and this right here is a D. I'm going to move these out of the way. B, D, F is down there, A, C, E, G, B, and this is D. So there will be drills in various locations that you'll be assigned to work on to help you master your note names. But the quicker you can do that, the easier it's going to be to understand everything else. So, looking at some notes here, C up a second is D. C up a third is E. C up a second is D. C up a third is E. C up a fourth is F. C up a fifth is G. C up a sixth is A. C up a seventh is B. And C up an octave is C. I'll use this one. Okay. Now, in the context of the C major scale, C, D, E, which is nice because it has no sharps or flats, F, G, A, B. We'll eventually learn what these are called, but from 1 to 2 is a major second. From 1 to 3 is a major third. From 1 to 4 is a perfect fourth. From 1 to 5 is a perfect fifth. From 1 to 6 is a major sixth. From 1 to 7 is a major seventh. And from 1 to 1 is a perfect octave. The big words for these are tonic, supertonic, mediant, subdominant, dominant, submediant, leading tone, tonic. So supertonic gets its name because it's above the tonic. Mediant gets its name because it's halfway between the tonic and the dominant. The 1 and the 5. Tonic and dominant. Then, if you were to go down from C, down a fifth from C is the subdominant. Oops. Apparently I don't have one of those. And halfway between the tonic and the subdominant is the submediant, under, which is the 6th. So tonic, supertonic, mediant, subdominant, dominant, submediant, leading tone, tonic. The submediant is a third below the tonic, and the mediant is a third above the tonic. The mediant is halfway between the tonic and the dominant, and the submediant is halfway between the tonic and the subdominant. And those are Roman numerals, and they will get used a lot in music theory. In the context of any scale, I don't have my sharp notes here with me, but I could probably get to them pretty quickly. So if we did say, for example, the G scale, G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, pretend that's an F sharp, and G. So 1 to 2, G to A is a major second, G to B is a major third, G to C is a perfect fourth, G to D is a perfect fifth, G to E is a major sixth, G to F sharp is a major seventh, and G to G is a perfect octave. So the intervals, you can conceive of them in a lot of different situations. You can just know what they are, or you can think of them in terms of their scale. On a keyboard, if it helps you to do it on a keyboard, a half step is a minor second. So C to C sharp would be a minor second. No, it would be an augmented prime. C to D flat, maybe I should find my sharps and flats. This piano teacher in Canada and her husband created this over many years, and then she brought it to a conference to sell, and I just have way too much fun with things like this. With the flats. Okay. So if you went C to D flat, that would be a minor second, because Intervals and music have to be diatonic. You have to use the next alphabet letter name for it to be a second. So C to C sharp would be an augmented prime. Don't think about that too much just yet. Maybe wait a day or two. C to D flat is a minor second. C to D is a major second. C to D sharp is an augmented second. Let's not think about it. C to E flat. Oh, did I not pick up a flat sign? Yes. C to E flat is a minor third. It's 1.5 steps. 2 whole steps is a major third, C to E. 1 2.5 steps is a perfect fourth. Perfect intervals don't have a minor version, and that's why they call them perfect. C to F sharp is an augmented fourth, a fourth made a little bigger. But if you were to call that G flat, that would be a diminished fifth. C to G is a perfect fifth, and that is 1 2 3.5 steps. 3.5 steps is a perfect fifth. 3 whole steps is something called a tritone. 1 2 3. That would be your F sharp or your G flat. That's a tritone, either an augmented fourth or a diminished fifth. 3.5 steps is a perfect fifth. 4 whole steps is a minor sixth if you call it A flat. If you call it G sharp, it's an augmented fifth. So that's a minor sixth. Then a major sixth is C to A. 1 2 3 4.5 steps. 5 whole steps, 1 2 3 4 5, is a minor seventh. That would be a B flat. A major seventh is C to B, 1 to 7 in the C major scale. And a perfect octave is C to C. So a couple of concepts here. You have to use the next alphabet letter to be a second or a third or a fourth or a fifth or a sixth. If you don't use the next alphabet letter, then it's an augmented this or a diminished that. It doesn't change. For example, to write out C to C sharp, I'd have to write C and then C sharp, which would be sharp C. And that would be, so that's why it's a repeated note, an augmented prime. If you wanted it to be C to D flat, you'd have to put D flat there. And then it's a minor second. Enharmonically, the same thing, but theoretically, they are not. So, C to E flat is a minor third. C to F flat looks the same as C to E, but it's a diminished fourth. C to G flat is a diminished fifth because there's no minor fifth. C to G is a perfect fifth. C to G is a diminished fifth. C to G sharp is an augmented fifth. C to A is a major sixth. C to A flat is a minor sixth. C to A sharp is an augmented sixth. C to B is a major seventh. C to B flat is a minor seventh. If you had 2 flats, a double flat, it would be a diminished seventh. And C to B sharp is an augmented seventh. Where did my sharp go? I do not know. It has walked away. C to B sharp looks on the keyboard just like C to C, but when you notate it as a seventh, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7, it has to be called a seventh. And the reverse is true. In order to be called a seventh, it has to look like a seventh on the staff. And then C to C is a perfect octave. So fourths and fifths and primes and octaves are perfect. And thirds and sixths and sevenths, seconds, thirds, sixths, and sevenths are major or minor. All intervals can be made diminished or augmented. If you're not confused enough, I can go on. So that's basic notation. Now, for the purposes of our book, we're using, there's any number of different ways that you can say what that pitch is in particular. We say it's C4, which means that this C is C5, this C is C3, this C is C2, this C, so 4, 5, this is C6. And everything in between gets that number. So C4, D4, E4, F4, and so forth and so on up to C5. So the numbering changes at the C's. All right, so that's that, and I'll take all my fun indoors now and do some stuff on the piano.